Salve and welcome to another installment of Magister Ambulator. Today we will be starting the Gospel of Mark in Greek. We'll cover chapter 1 verses 1 through 9 today. We'll start off with a reading. Kata Markon. Arkai tu Evangeliu Jesu Christu viu Theu. Καθώς γεγραπτάιν το Ισαΐα το προφήτε, ιδού απεστέλλω τον αγγελόν μου προ προσώπου σου, ως κατασκευάσαι την οδόν σου. Φωνήμπα ούντος εν τε ερήμου, έτο εμάσατε την οδόν κορίου, Ιουθέας ποηγείται τας τρίπουσα του. Εγίνατο Ιωάννης αβαπτίζδον εν τε ερήμου καί καιρούσον βαπτισμά μετανοίας εις άφεσιν αμαρτιών. Kai exeporiuata pros auton passa he Judea chora, kai hoi Jerusalemitai pantes, kai ebatizanto hupatu in to Jordani patanmo examalogumeno tas amartias auton, kai ina Ioannis in dedumenos tricas camelu, kai zonein dermatinen peritenas funatu, kai estion acridas, kai meliagrion. Kai ekirusin legon, erketaiha isku rotterasmu apisomu, hu ukemi ekanos kupsos lusaetan imanta ton hupadamaton atu, ego e baptisa humas sudati autoste, baptise humas in pneumati agio. Kai agenata in agenais tais emeres elthen Jesus apon Nazaret, tis Galileas, kai ebaptiste is ton Jordanin hupo Ioannu. Translation. According to Mark, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, Son of God, that's the textual variant, as it has been written in Isaiah the prophet, Behold, I am sending my angel or my messenger before your face or before you, who will prepare your way, or the way of you. A voice of one crying out in the desert, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight the highways of him, make straight his highways. There was John baptizing in the desert and preaching a baptism of repentance unto the forgiveness of sins. And all the country of Judea went out to him, and all the people of Jerusalem, the Jerusalemites, and they were being baptized by him in the Jordan River, confessing their sins, auton. And John was wearing trikas kemelu. He was wearing the hair of a camel, and around his waist a belt, a leather belt. And he was eating locusts and honey that was wild honey. And he preached, saying, one greater than me, that's a genitive of comparison, comes after me, of whom I am not worthy, stooping down to loosen the thong or the strap of his sandals. I baptize you with water, but he will baptize you in the Holy Spirit. And it happened in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized in the Jordan by John. Let's take a step back and notice just a few things here. So it's called kata markon, And we have pretty solid evidence it was indeed written by Mark. Papias is our earliest witness. He was born in about 60, and the Gospel of Mark itself was written in the late 60s, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. We have a couple of interesting things here with the Hebrew and the Greek. So this is all Hebrew originally, but it comes into Greek through the Septuagint. We have phone boontos in te aremo. Here it is a voice of one crying out in the desert, and then the quotation picks up with hetoimasate. In the Hebrew, it is slightly different. The Masoretes put the disjunction after kore. So very briefly, kol kore bamidbar panu derech, a voice crying out, and then you see this little these two marks. That's a disjunction, so that's a full thought right there. And then the quote begins, "In the wilderness prepare the way of the Lord." So just a variant reading there. The Septuagint has it slightly differently here. We also have several moos and sus, and I just want to remind us that they don't take their own accents. They receive their accents from the previous words. So you would pronounce this ongelonmu and prosopusu. And if you were wondering why does ha iskuroterosmu have two accents, it's because it is receiving the os accent from mu, and if there weren't this accent, there would be 1, 2, 3 syllables without an accent, and that does not work well in Greek. So iskuroteros has two accents here. We also have just a quick note. Trikos kamelu is a description by way of a genitive, whereas the next pair is an adjective noun pair. So the hair of camel, that's a noun. Those are both nouns there. And then the zonin, a belt, namely a leather belt, that is an adjective there. That's not a noun. I just want to point out a couple of Semiticisms that show up in the Greek here. The Semitic languages had an impact, especially on the region where they were spoken on Greek. And there's a couple of things here. Here we have, "and he preached, saying." This comes from a Hebrew where you would say, "and he answered," or "and he said," and then you would have saying. That's straight from Semitic languages there. That's very, very common in the Hebrew Old Testament. There's also kai egeneto in the Kenas de Semeras. That's also a Semiticism where you have, at the very beginning, you have the word "and" plus basically "it happened" or "it was," and then you can say "in those days," and then you pick up with the rest of the content of the sentence. Both of those are frequent flyers in the Old Testament's Hebrew. Join us next time as we'll pick up with verse 10 of Mark chapter 1, and until then, Vale.